Welcome. We'll begin momentarily.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to RosterApps. Sorry, I'm blinking on the title. Daily, what was it? Daily staffing and scheduling. John Brandt, Evan Quaish, product manager, vice president of strategic
Platform strategy.
Platform strategy. So,
So close.
I've had so much fun. We've got a little bit to go today, guys. Thank you so much for coming. This has been a blast, and it's been so fun to meet all of you and learn and grow together. So take it away, guys.
Thanks, Tammy. So I'm Evan Quaish, product manager for RosterApps. For those of you that don't know me, I've been with ARCOS since about 2 months after the virtual conference last year. So this is my first conference experience, and I don't know, John, if it's the same when you joined, but when I joined, that's all I heard about was coming to a conference and getting a chance to meet all of you and just see all the stuff that's going on. And it's been a really great experience, certainly. So I want to thank all of you that contributed, that presented. I know how hard this is now. And for all the stuff that you do to make our products and our solutions and your ultimate experiences better. So I appreciate all that. John is going to walk us through daily staffing and scheduling with RosterApps advanced scheduling components. We're going to really try to storyize this, walk it through sort of some typical things that you would normally be looking to do, things like maintaining staffing levels, managing time off, things like that. So we'll walk through sort of day in the life type of scenarios. Mm-hmm. Do you want to add anything, John, before we start?
No. So I have given 6-hour demos of this product, and we're not trying to do that. We're just, like Evan said, we're just trying to show just a little bit, so you just get a kind of a flavor of what RosterApps does and how you would use it on a kind of a daily basis. There's a plethora of functionality and how the people get their schedules in the first place and everything else that happens. But we're just going to show just kind of a snippet here.
Before we do jump into this, how many of you are using ARCOS scheduling tool currently inside the ARCOS platform? Okay, good percentage. How many are doing your scheduling, staffing requirements, PTO, vacation, all that kind of stuff on whiteboards or spreadsheets? Okay, good. Quite a few. Good. All right, so the first topic we'll cover today is going to be maintaining minimum staffing levels. I think that most of the people that know ARCOS obviously know Callouts. So what we're going to start with is filling an open shift using RosterApps with Callout. There we go.
Okay, so you might have what we're going to show here. Is it started? Oh,
there.
Is a kind of supervisor interface where they're going to go and they have a open shift, and so you go on the shift management tab. That's where you're going to have all your unassigned shifts. And so you can see here that there's one shift. But they're going to initiate a call out. When they do that, they're going to be presented with a list, and this is where it's a little different than call out, where here you're going to actually select your roster of people that you want to send to the call out. So in this example, we're just going to make it simple. You pick one person, but you could sort and filter this list, and you just get the people in the order and select how many people you want to initiate a call out with. And up in the upper right, there is the different types of callouts you're going to do. I think this is just going to do a normal standard callout. You initiate that, and then that sends the call out. And so this demo, there was a, actually you could hear the recording and everything, but we don't have that, so we're gonna skip ahead to the part where then the call out is accepted by somebody, and you'll see that it popped up. Now it's kind of refreshed, and it says there's a call out number, it says done, and the mouse will move over that in a minute, and you will be able to see who accepted it. And you can also get into all the statistics that you normally get from the call-out system by clicking on that link. So what the responses were. But in this case, we had the one person kind of accepted. Now we're going to decide we're going to go ahead and assign that shift. So it comes up with all the the people. Whoops. And he selected that person from the list, and now assign that shift to that person. So that kind of completes the entire kind of process. So this is like the first integration with the RosterApps system to call out. The plan is that you might have heard is to put all that in one system. But for right now, we can do it this way. So now you see that shift is unassigned. I think he's going to go now look at where's that bit?
Now with posting shift.
Yeah. So word. Okay. Then there's also other ways besides just doing a call out. We're going to you can do other things like post a shift to just an open trade board where also employees can post their shifts, and that's kind of a first come first serve basis. As long as the employee meets the qualifications and all the other conflicts are checked out, they'll be able to pick that up. And so we're posting that just to the trade board, and then we can kind of see that it's out there. The supervisor can then remove that. So there's a way to put your open shifts so that you're trying to fill out that way. You can also post it especially with union agreements, you might have to post it to a bid board where people can indicate that they want that shift, and then you would, based on the rules, assign it to who requested it and has the most seniority or what have you. So there's two different ways a lot of different ways to assign those open shifts. There's also, you can assign it directly to somebody. You can unassign a shift from one person to the other, and so on. But there's, so you can see here that a previous shift that was posted there, you could see how many people bid on that, so you know you had enough people interested, so then you would assign that to the person. I think we're going to,
Yep.
that's the end
Next
of it.
one is the multi-skill duty roster.
Yep, so then in this example, what we're going to show is look at, you have a staffing plan, especially maybe an operations center. You have a plan of how many people you want to have on each shift. So there might be, and then you'll be able to monitor that and quickly kind of see, do you have enough people, and then make the changes that you need to go then fill those. So for each different user level role, there's many reports that you can get to. This one is the plan versus actual report. So we're going to go in there, and it's going to show a month view of all your different shifts. And this is all, you configure all this yourself. And then the red is obviously where somebody is, you have a shortage. So now the person can go then to the shift management, which we saw before. There was you had that shift on the bid board, and now they're going to go then assign that. And then you can also, to make things quicker, you can then go pick, only show me the people who bid on that. So right now we're seeing everybody who could possibly work that. We only wanted to narrow it down to the person who picked it, then we assign that. Then there's a lot of other things you can do as well. If it was a forced assignment, you can track junior assignments. Maybe they want to take it as comp time. You can do those different things, and then we assign that shift. So I think it's going to go look at the person. Yeah. So then you can go look at that. Sorry. Go look at that person's schedule. So here's the calendar they showed the other day. It's got all the person's shifts. There's a little color-coded where you can see what their base shifts were versus what an open shift were assigned. Now, if we go back to that plan versus actual, we can go see that on that 17th, everything's good. There's no red, so we know we're all good. But then you might want to then go look at, okay, on the day of the operation, like, supervisor would come in and want to know who he has on duty, and you can pull this, what we call the duty roster report, which would show you for whatever jobs you're looking for. So that's, again, this is all, you select, totally configure this yourselves about what the skills are or what the jobs people are doing. And then you would pull up this report, and it'll show you, in this case, who was originally working the shift on the left. It might have a strike through it, and then why are they not working it now, and then who is actually covering that shift. So if you're going to assign people maybe to different desks in an operations center, you would pull up this list, you have your people, and then you would take it from there. Any questions, please stop.
Yeah, before we move to the next topic, let's take questions.
Oh. No, so both. Him first. Sorry.
So, question about the bid board.
Yes.
So employees will have access to it, and they could bid on the shift that was posted. Is there a time constraint that you could put on that posting?
Yes. So there is a lot of different settings you can do and rules where you would say how long before the shift starts that posting would expire. And then it would show back up on that shift management page, and you would see how many people bid on it, and then you would go ahead and assign that to that. So.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, Luke.
Luke DeRuza with Tampa Electric. I'm not real familiar with RosterApps. I'm at the operations center level.
Okay.
But all the things you just showed, I could do in Callout or Crew Manager as well. This reminds me of something that you can just, it's like on steroids. It's more information, more definitive. Would that be a correct analogy?
Not exactly. So again, we're just showing a little bit. So the RosterApps has all the employees, and it really takes more of the schedule from the whole entire life cycle. So when people are bidding on what their base schedule is, we'll show trading, everything else. So it has a lot more functionality than what is in Callout for managing the schedules.
Right, we can, like if we wanted to pre-select a crew or fill a shift, I could do that in Callout, send out an alert and, give everybody till Tuesday at 5 o'clock to fill that shift and get a notification after it closes out with who that person was. So we use, Crew Manager and Callout, and we're still on vacation management. We primarily use one of the, for scheduling, all of our schedulers and non-productive time is in vacation management. And I guess my question is vacation management going away and RosterApps is taking its place?
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, there's actually several components of the existing ARCOS scheduling capabilities that are going to be replaced with RosterApps at some point as we get down that road. But there are advanced pieces to what RosterApps does from a bidding and trading perspective, rules-based, being able to sort of automate some of the processes around who can work and when they can work, fatigue rules, things like that are configurable within the system.
And there's, for vacation bidding, there's a very advanced functionality in RosterApps where you can do rounds of bids. So we have clients that will do the first round, you can get up to 2 weeks. Everybody, so they does a round robin. And then the next round, they can get the rest of whatever their number of weeks available are. So there's a lot of features.
Right. Yeah, it looks like you have a lot more to select from, a lot more capability in RosterApps than you do in Callout or Crew Manager. There's no doubt about that.
Right. So
is there a defined time when you're going to sunset vacation management?
I don't.
Yeah, we don't have it defined yet. We don't have a timeline down for it as far as sunsetting existing features in vacation management. But we are, generally progressing in this direction going forward.
Yeah, and it'll be one platform.
It will be one platform.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep. Tammy, we got a question up here. Sorry, we only have one mic runner this time. We don't have PJ.
PJ was fast.
Yeah.
Thank you. Art Romero, San Diego Gas Electric. So, and I'm going to look to Jennifer, my coworker. When you showed the calendar up there about RosterApps, I know we have scheduled work. So we have schedulers scheduling work in our click system. So I know what they're scheduling out. And what I'm looking up there, when you show the calendar about scheduled work, but then we have unplanned work, we have prearranged work. When you look at the calendar, are you able to decipher that type of work by looking at it, by color coding it, so you know what is scheduled, what is unplanned, what was prearranged, who's on vacation, so forth and so forth?
Yes, absolutely. So if it flashes up kind of fast, but if you look, there was a legend that had the different color, what the different colors meant. So there was like, are they on vacation, are they absent, or was this their original shift, was it an open shift they were assigned? We are moving to even more advanced where you could create your different shift classifications. So was this was it awarded through call out, or, however you want to classify things. So yes, you will be able to just look at the schedule and see that. And you can also mouse over anything and it'll tell you the more detail on that too.
Yeah, as we go through some of the next sections, we're going to get to see the calendar again. So just keep an eye out on the right for the legend, and you'll see what John was talking about.
Oh, here you go.
So Jennifer from SDG&E. My question is, when I saw the calendar up there and you were talking about how you can go through different bidding processes, so when we do our vacation setup for the year, you've got your seniority of who gets what based on who had what last year. That's what you're talking the capabilities are for this.
Yes.
Yes.
Fabulous, thank you.
Great. Any other questions on sort of what we've seen to this point, minimum staffing levels and?
Get Tammy.
Tammy.
Here you go, Todd.
Todd Johnson with Salt River Project. We're just kind of getting ready to get going here.
Great.
In a session, I think it was yesterday, they said something about global calendar view. Would that include, say, all of our operators could see each other's schedule?
Certainly possible.
Well, so in RosterApps, you can allow people to view their coworker schedules.
Oh, that is
So
available.
Yeah,
it's in there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? All right, we'll talk employee schedule modifications now, John.
Okay, so here is an employee who's in the system, and they want to request time off. This is a daily time off, not a vacation week or anything. But they can go see, we track everything, link to your HR system, what their accrual account balances are. So then you just go into there, they see their calendar, they can click on a shift, and then it shows them the available actions that they have, And so in this case, they picked, they want to have the time off. They pick the reason. Again, you configure what the reasons are. It lets them know that they have enough hours to pay for it, and so then they can make that request. And I think they're gonna, say please. You can always beg, and then they submit that request. So then that goes to the supervisor to decide whether they're gonna approve that. I don't know if you noticed that the color of that shift changed, so it's a pending time off request. So now we're going into the supervisor. So the supervisor has to then approve that. Picking the right supervisor. And on their homepage, they see all these pending requests, and you can have, all the different types of requests that are coming in. In this case, we're looking at the time off requests, and you can filter and sort this list however you desire. We just have 2 requests, and we're gonna select the first one. So it tells you, who requested it, they have enough hours to pay for it. It also lets you know, based on that minimum staffing plan, whether this is gonna cause you to be in a shortage. So then you can decide, I want to cover that with an open shift. And so then this one, they approve it, so lucky you, and then send that. So then the employee is getting notified through email and text or however they want to have that. and that they've been approved, and so now they know. And then in this case, we're still, have a shortage, and you can go ahead and deny that. All the notifications, every time something happens to an employee's schedule, they get a notification of that. And like about the question about the shifts being posted to the bid board when those expire, the same thing can happen on a time off or request. So that if the supervisor doesn't do anything with it, it'll automatically expire so many hours before the shift starts, and then they'll be notified that it didn't happen. Was that the end of it?
She's coming right behind you with the mic.
Is it possible for the notification to not only go to the employee, but also to our timekeeper so that that person then sees this is the approval and it's been electronically signed by the requester as well as the supervisor? And yes, we can go ahead and put it for payroll purposes.
So there are two different ways to do that. There's reports that show you that, but there's also the better option is to integrate it through the APIs, and then as those changes happen, you will get that update will go to your time and attendance system and change it so that they're marked as vacation, and then how many hours. It's all that information is passed over, and so you don't have to do double entry.
Perfect. Thank you.
Chris.
Any other?
Hi, we're with Connexus. Question on that schedule. When the employee is looking at the date, is there a way for leadership to say, sorry, it's full, when we have 10 employees that have already requested it, for example?
Yes. So that's coming, but they can also you can allow them to see. Well, no. Yes. So that's coming, that they can do that, but and that's going to be the next thing in that enhanced vacation bidding part, where you can have what the number of people you'll allow off, and then once that's exceeded, they'll see that on the calendar that there's no more slots for that day, so don't even bother trying. So.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. We'll talk about an employee that wants to sign up for extra.
Yeah, so just like we had the supervisor trying to fill those shifts, sometimes those ones that were posted, then this is the employee side of how they would go and pick up a shift. So this case, the person looks at the calendar, sees that they have an opening, I might as well go work. Then this calendar will be a lot more full of options because there's a lot more shifts probably available. But they can see, in this case, the person has a conflict of skills, so they don't have the skill to work that job, so they're not going to be assigned it. You can set it up so that they can't even bid on it, but this is configured a little different. So here's one that they can, so they're going to go. So this is an open shift. It's first come, first serve, so they can go ahead and claim that. And now it's they've claimed that shift, and now it's on their calendar. So there's, again, many ways to assign those shifts, but this is a way for the employees to go pick those shifts. Now, it could have been a call out, and then they would have done it that way. But here's some things you might do a little further in advance that you don't have to do a call out. You can let them. It's a month away, and they can go and pick those up. So here, there's different views of the calendar. This is kind of the week view. But another employee sees, yeah, I'd like to work that day too. Now they go to the trade board, don't see anything. I'm going to go to the open shift bid and then select that one shift. Now this person doesn't have a conflict, so they're going to go ahead and bid on that shift. And now you can put a comment in there if you want. But they'll then, until that shift expires, they can go cancel that bid. So maybe they changed their mind. They found out they had to take their daughter to soccer and didn't want to do that. So now you can also just go on a day and say, hey, if something comes up, I want to take that. I want to be available for that shift. So they can then go pick on a day, pick what shifts they would like to pick up if they're open, and then make that selection. So this makes it easy for the supervisor when he's just trying to go fill a shift. You can see the people already that are interested in working that day and just go ahead and assign it to them. So that's kind of how the employees would go about that. Any questions on that? Or?
That resonate with anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Phil Pedro, Central Hudson. Just curious how deep we can go with the rules on people bidding shifts. For example, we have very strict rules where it has to go to off people first. So if we initiated something like this, it would be the off people, and then it's on orders of hours worked. So would this keep track of total overtime hours worked, and would it apply those rules to based on the employees accepting?
Yeah, so what we do is we track all that, and on that, we kind of went through a little fast on when the supervisor assigned that, but they had, and you can customize what columns are shown. So you can sort and filter by seniority, by how many hours they've worked, whether or not they're off, whether or not this is their normal shift. So a lot of companies, they'll say first shift employees get the first shot at first shifts. But what we do is we let the supervisor get that in the order, and then they select who's going to have it. Now, we talked about artificial intelligence in the earlier thing. We're looking, the next thing is to go and just have it automatically. You know, you've got that minimum staffing plan, and then you can you'll be able to set up rules about, okay, there's a shift open 72 hours in advance. We're going to do a call out for that, and then whoever picked it, we're going to fill it, whoever doesn't have a conflict based on those other rules. If it's farther out, we're going to post it to the trade board. And then as it gets closer, we're going to do a call out because nobody wanted it. So that's kind of the next big thing for managing the schedules, just letting it run if you want to do that way.
Yep.
Any other?
And as far as the complexity of rule, you can get pretty detailed in terms of how what sort of how you drill it down and what you filter off of and how you organize your lists and all it can get pretty intense. So, all right. Talking about swapping shifts now.
Yeah, so this is, in RosterApps, one of the strengths of the system is letting the employees kind of manage their schedule. You saw how they just were able to sign up for overtime, pick up shifts. Well, you can also allow the employees to trade shifts. And you, of course, configure all the rules and policies of what is allowed, and they can do a trade, but not anything that's going to violate the policy. So there's not necessarily a reason to, a lot of people have sheets of paper, trade sheet, so both employees sign it up, we're going to trade, and then it goes to administrator, and they look through and see, it was illegal, and then let it go through. But in this case, the employee just goes in and goes to their calendar, again, sees that, they can click on the shift, and just like asking for time off, their other option, and again, you configure what people can or can't do. Maybe you don't want them to trade, but this person's going to trade a shift, they're going to pick the employee that they want to trade it to, and then they're going to make it a two-way trade. So they're going to want to trade away their one shift and get back from the other employee their other shift. So it's just a swap for swap. And then they can put a comment in there. And then when they submit that is going to notify the other employee that, hey, someone requested a trade. You need to go in to RosterApps and accept it or deny it. Or if they don't do anything, again, it expires when it gets close enough to the shift. So this is the other employee logging in after they got their notification. And they see that trade, they want to go maybe look at their calendar, what is this going to actually do to me? Shows different colors now, the one shift going away, one coming to them, and I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And now, in this particular case, the administrator set it up so that the supervisor has to approve it. So now it's a pending, both employees agreed, and now the supervisor would have to go in and go ahead and accept that. This might be a way you start off, just because as you get familiar with the system, but you're going to eventually want to let it just do its thing. So let the let the system check all the rules and go through that. But the supervisor can see that, see what the trade is, and then go ahead and approve that.
And we talked a little bit about some of the complexity of rule settings that you can have in here, and I know we've talked about being able to sort of have bidding rounds. You can shut down trading and swapping during bidding rounds so that stuff's not moving around while you're trying to go through your annual vacation bidding cycles and stuff like that.
Right. So you go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say there's all these rules, and those rules are date effective. So they can change throughout the year. You might have like the fourth quarter, everything's kind of locked down. You don't let people do too much. You can have it all change. So.
I think it's interesting where you're going with it with all the rules. Quick question, is it a true scheduling program where, like, can I put in there, like one of the things that would prevent a swap, if someone's on days, but they're scheduled for training, and they want to swap with somebody on the 3 to 11s, can we utilize that schedule to indicate a person's in training and then set the rules up that it could block it? It sounds like it's something we might be able to do.
What it will definitely do, like if you're, now I'm working a shift, if I traded, I have too short a rest. Is that the issue you're talking?
No, I guess you were talking about how there's rules that it can apply, the AI can apply that, and so that a supervisor doesn't have to live in there all the time. So one of the rules, as an example, is if someone's on days, we might schedule them for training. We don't want them swapping off that shift. So the idea is, can we set like a training, have it what you guys set up? Training is one of those filters that will not allow them to swap. It would automatically deny the swap because it'll say this person is scheduled for training.
Yes. So there's several different ways to do that, but yes, you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Back. Tammy.
Tammy, straight back.
This is the most inquisitive group that I've had. This is awesome. Here you go, Kenzie.
Can they use that with the mobile app, or do they have to be logged in?
Yes, there's
to
a
be
mobile
able
app.
to do that?
Yep.
Yep.
But yeah. Okay.
Anything? Anybody? Good. All right. So now we're going to talk about handling infractions, people that didn't work a certain set of hours or times when they were supposed to for whatever reason. Could be good, bad, or indifferent.
Yep.
So we'll walk through a couple scenarios around that.
And just to comment on the infractions, what we're going to show you is somebody who's not integrated with a time and attendance system. So that same time and attendance system that we're sending the shift information to, we can be getting the punches from. And then what we do is then compare when they clocked in to what they were scheduled to do. And if there's a variance of, you might have a grace period. If there's too much of a variance, then it causes an infraction. But these are, you don't have to have that. You can just see that somebody came in late and then do what we're going to do.
Yep. So first we'll talk about is an absence, employee gets sick or can't come in, so no call, no show, whatever.
So it never happens, but
nobody ever gets sick.
So here we got a case where somebody calls in sick. The supervisor just goes and there is the ability to let the employees mark themselves absent, but we only have one client that allows that. But then you would just mark them, absent. You pick the reason, and now and again you configure the reasons, and then they can be tied to an accrual account. So then you see how many hours are going to be pulled from that accrual account. Do they not have enough, sick time to kind of pay for that? And then we're going to, in this case, I think decide to cover that shift with overtime or open time. And then now, so we see that he's absent. That's all tracked. Again, goes to the time and attendance system if you're integrated. But now we're going to fill that, and we see all the shifts. So we're going to look at the shift management page. These are all the shifts. So these are all those columns we were talking about that can't really see them right now, but all the information that might be in there. One of them is their overtime balance, their seniority. But then we're going to go ahead and assign it to one of the people who kind of bid on that or requested to work it. So, and then assign that shift. So there's all that ability to really put all the information in the hands of the supervisor to make the right decision. So you kind of avoid grievances and keep everybody happy. Not sure where. Oh, that's it. So any questions on that? Again, there's a way to do this so that the system will tell you that there's an infraction. Tammy? Sorry.
Might need another mic runner.
Hope you have your fitness tracker thing.
Get my steps in. There you go.
So as you explained earlier in the example of the employee who say they had accepted the ship, but then they decide not to, so it goes back, when they bid on it, is that next employee that came in runner-up notified, or is it actually, then he has to be told by the supervisor that, hey, you're now going to be eligible for this? I mean, how's the next employee notified if someone decides to withdraw them accepting a job.
So you're saying the employee requested the shift, was assigned it, and changed their mind?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can control whether they can do that or not. We also just added a workflow for that. So you can offer the shift to an employee, and then they have a certain time period to accept or deny it.
Yeah.
And then I think they can even then reject it later. So there is a policy for that. But I think the supervisor would have to take an action to start another award process for that.
Okay. Well, we also have the ability for them to call in when they call in sick. So is this tied to the scheduled exceptions that can come in from as a scheduled exception to RosterApps?
Yes. Can you say that again?
When our employees have the ability to call in sick, and it'll record it as a scheduled exception. Is that tied here to RosterApps?
Like through an automated calling system?
Because it's ARCOS. It's scheduled as a scheduled exception coming through ARCOS into RosterApps.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you can, so what I would suggest doing is use the ability in RosterApps for them to mark themselves absent, so then it's recorded in there.
But when you say mark themselves absent, they're doing it through the VR. Why? I mean, how would they mark themselves absent if they're not doing the app, but calling in through the VR? Right.
What I'm saying is have them go to RosterApps and select, go to their shift and say, mark myself absent, instead of calling in. But I'm sure there's a possibility to do an integration between your VRU.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so you could do that, and it would send over the apps. It would change their shift.
Yeah, because you have employees who are like, I'm not going to get up and go log in and mark myself absent. I'm going to lay in bed and say I'm going to call and be sick. There's my scheduled exception.
Yeah, so that would require an integration, but I'm sure it could be done.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, John, it's me, Danny, in the middle. Art's probably talking about calling in to ARCOS, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
So they're calling inbound, or they could be using the ARCOS mobile app if they're using that now. And that's important because then they're not available for call-outs. It's not another system.
I don't work in the call-out, so I didn't know, sorry. But yes, so yeah, that would absolutely happen.
Yes. Yep. Good. All right. Let's talk about an employee arriving early.
So so not only people are totally absent, but in another case, they might show up early. So, and again, if you were getting that from the time attendance system, you would see that they came in early. But in this case, the supervisor maybe informally kind of asked the employee to come in early. Now they have to indicate on their schedule that they came in early so that they're going to get paid correctly for that, because this is kind of the system of record of what the schedule was. So here we have an employee, we go to edit their shift, and then we change it to an hour early. And in this case, the rules are set up that you're required to put what that reason is, and so you can track that. So when you go to your reporting about your time variances, you'll have all the reasons by the hours and can do that. So here we're just saying thanks for doing that, and again, you can say whether it's you were forced assigned or what have you. So track all those different things, and then approve that, and then the employee would get a notification that they came in early. So here's showing that it was now you have the different shift in addition to the regular shift, the different segment, and it's a different type of shift, so that there was an open shift that was assigned.
John, we have another question over here.
Hey, Patrick Turner, Alabama Power. A couple of questions. On the shift, and if an employee allows to come in, does it have some type of a shift alert for the supervisor that says, hey, you had 2 employees call in sick, now you're below your threshold, you need to do something, or to not just automatically fill shifts, but let the supervisor know, hey, we're low not only today, but looking out in the future too for vacation scheduling and training, say, hey, you're a shift alert, you're below your quota for this day.
Right, that's that thing we showed with the plan versus actual report. It would show you in red, what that you're 2 people short on that one day or by shift, and then maybe you're overstaffed on another day. You can maybe change somebody's schedule. So yeah, that information is available directly to the supervisor.
And my other question is, with ARCOS developing RosterApps, and y'all may not know, but will we get some of the benefits of RosterApps, some few features, over into the call-out scheduling tool?
Yep, that's the absolute plan. So they're going to move everything, RosterApps, into the call-out platform. The idea is to have one solution that everybody, under one front end. I
Yeah,
guess.
it'll be under one front end. We're working on merging those things together and figuring out how to replace things without breaking stuff and all that kind. But yes, that's definitely what we're actively working on right now, bringing that into the platform.
Yeah, and my last question is, how difficult is it to build shifts for rotating employees, like in a control center, when you got multiple employees working multiple 24-hour shifts, midnights, days, evenings, each week?
It's very easy.
Yeah.
So there's a whole part where you create that schedule, and it could be the rotating, whatever number of days are in your repeating pattern. A normal, these are what we're just showing is normal 7-day patterns, but you can have 6 on, 3 off, 28-day repeating pattern. We have a client that does a 365-day pattern. I don't know why, because every week is different. But you can have whatever you have, and it's easy to import that schedule. You import the schedule lines, and then you assign the people to those schedules, or they bid on it. There's a whole capability around that. Anything else? Okay. Go to the next.
Yeah. Then we'll talk about an employee arriving.
Right. So we're going to show a couple things here. We're going to show where an employee, they arrive late, not unusual, and then just a little bit, and then you are going to go then mark them absent. Again, if you're getting the notifications from your time and attendance system, you would see that already. But here we're going to mark them late for an hour, and then you would pick whatever the reason is. In this case, it was tardy, and that might be tied to, again, accrual accounts. And then we're going to kind of just say, mark that late, and put some notes in there about that absence, so it's in the record. And then when we mark them absent, now you see that it took that split. You have the absent part of the shift, and then the regular part that they're working. But also what that did is we can tie that to a dependability system, and so now they triggered by that absence that they need, in this case, a coaching counseling session. So that then you can manage all that within RosterApps as well, so you could assign that to a supervisor or somebody else to handle. In this case, it's the same person. They're going to just go ahead and they talk to them and kind of record that. So there's a whole flow of that. And you set up all the dependability rules you might have that it's a 365-day rolling window, and their absences, kind of the point systems, everything else. So it's all kind of contained within RosterApps as well. So does anybody have those kind of needs for track those kind of things?
Anybody utilize like a dependability system? No? Yes.
No. Oh, you can now. So. So this is it, and again, it just tracks and keeps a record, and the employee can see it themselves as well. So they would be able to see, what their point balance is, and you probably wouldn't be surprised that people will wait till their 1 point dropped off a year ago, and then they call in sick, so that they're never hitting that level that they're going to get in too much trouble for.
Gives you that traceability for, avoiding grievances and all kinds of things.
And also it helps avoid all the questions to the admin, like what is my balance, where am I at, what is my, like we showed the accrual account balances, where am I at with that, where am I with my overtime bank, all those kind of things are available to them. So
that's it.
That's the end of it? Oh,
that's it.
All right. Did faster. I talked too fast. Apologize for that. Any just questions, general scheduling? Tammy?
Are in essence the business rules stored in the administrative tab there in ARCOS? Is that where we talk about those?
There's many different levels of user roles, and one of those top roles is the company administrator. So the company administrator would make rule sets, and you can have all these different rule sets, and those rule sets contain things like, how many days in a row can somebody work? How much of a break do they have to have within a 3-day window? So they have to have at least 8 hours of rest every so many hours, continuous, and can they pick up a shift on their vacation so they're getting paid twice. So all those things, you kind of create those rule sets, and then you assign those to the different groups. So each group can have, you might have full-time employees that follow one set of rules and part-time that follow another. You might have one craft that does classification that does a different type. You know, there are a lot of different things, especially when there's different union agreements involved. You know, they have different policies. So you, the company administrator, would kind of create those rules. And then at the location level, so you can have, we didn't really show the organization, but you have all your different locations. They might be you know, operations centers, you might have different field offices where they're assigned, and then you have work groups, even further subdividing the people, and then you assign those rules to those. And again, it's date effective, so you can have for different seasons or different reasons, like in the holidays, you might restrict, be more restrictive. So it's a lot of configuration, and the nice thing is it's all at the user level. So you can, yourselves can do all that.
There's a time and attendance module where you can even set advanced you know, calculations on how you accrue different types of time off, and you know, can you do it with, you know, time, you know, double time or time and a half? When do those things trigger? Is there an offset? Those kinds of things.
Right. So those questions about classifying shifts, if you have the time and attendance system, you can make those classifications. You can use them to create, okay, for those type of shifts, what pay code do they go under? You know, when do they hit overtime? All those things. Any other questions? Oh. All right. Yeah. Well, they saved the best for last. So, and we also got you out way early. So, all right. Thank you.
Real quick, you mentioned system of record. Right now we're using, we've got a separate time and attendance SAP app that I think through the APIs we can push vacation requests and everything back into ARCOS, right? Back into RosterApps?
No, you go the other way. So usually we'll make those requests in RosterApps, and then those get pushed to the time and attendance, time and attendance system.
We get punch data typically from time and attendance, so if somebody clocks in, clocks out, we get that punch data brought in.
Okay. I think we were under the impression we could push the other direction as well.
I think, yeah, with you guys, I think that they're looking at, yeah.
Okay.
But typically, what people will do is use RosterApps, so what is the master schedule of what actually happened. And so then that would be, then feed those other systems, the time and attendance system. Anything else?
Hey,
right.
John, it's Danny again. Can I just ask a question of especially the longer term call out customers? One of the things we used to hear all the time was, how do we handle swaps and call out? How can we handle swaps? And we created the roster swap, which some or none of you may be using, where the employee doesn't do it himself, but an admin in the web app can switch people's places on a roster for call out. But this lets you actually swap a shift, right? RosterApps will let you actually swap like the work time that you were scheduled for. And frankly, that's one of the things I'm most excited about. Did that spark any interest, or did that click in anybody's head in here, you call out customers? Call out users? Yeah, Patrick's nodding.
And there's also the ability, and again, we didn't show hardly any of it, but you can block trade. And block trading is, so there's people that have those 4 on, 4 off kind of things. You might want to trade your whole block of 4 days to somebody else as a whole segment. So, and then they might trade so somebody working days might want to switch with somebody working nights, and they could just trade the schedule. And
again, you can set those filters to say you can't trade this to just anybody. It's not the Wild West. It has to be somebody that's qualified to do it, has the right certs and all that.
Right, and you could put the payback time. So if you were, they're like salaried employees, but so you'll let them trade, but you want to make sure that they end up working the same number of hours each month. You can set the payback time so that they have to do 2-way trades and get that done.
Great. All right. Anything else? No? We're good? All right. Then.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Remember to submit your feedback in the survey, please. If you have any questions, you can do that up to an hour after. It's been a pleasure meeting all of you guys today, this week, and travel safe. Thank you so much.